I'd like to call this meeting of the Medina City School Board to order. This is our regular monthly October the 4th meeting. This is a meeting of the board, or excuse me, October the 14th. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public comment during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chambers, would you please call roll?
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Here.
Ms. Pritchard?
Here.
Ms. Smoyer?
Here.
Mr. West?
Here.
Thank you.
First up is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting on September the 16th, 2025. Would I hear a motion? I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the September
I'll
meeting.
second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the September 16th minutes from anybody? Hearing none, Mr. Chambers, when you're ready, please.
Ms. Smoyer?
Here. Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any additions, removals, and modifications to the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Anybody? No? Mr. Chambers?
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Thank you.
First up, items for information and discussion items. Superintendent's communications. Mr. Sable, the floor is yours.
I'd like to start this evening by inviting Jansen Worley up to the podium. I'd like to sing Jansen's praises. I've been in the district long enough where we've worked with other people who have overseen the rec center and collaborate with the school districts, and the work that Jansen has done, I know it increased his workload, but the work he's done in really being collaborative with the school district and helping us to meet goals and increasing our use of the rec center as a district has just been outstanding. And I know his work has resulted in the expansion of the weight room. And this evening he's here to talk about another expansion that would be no cost to the district, but it would be a collaborative effort as the rec center is our facility and on our property. And there's actually a resolution on the agenda later where I will be recommending that to the board.
Thank you, board members, for the opportunity to speak, and Mr. Sable for the kind words there. As Mr. Sable mentioned, about 2 years ago now, we re-envisioned the fitness room addition at the rec center, and were able to fund that with a capital bill grant. Once we had completed that project, which was a plan that was on the shelf for quite some time before it came to fruition, our thought as a group administratively at the rec center was we need to have the next plan, the next goal that would help set the rec center apart from other facilities in Northeast Ohio, as well as further our collaboration with the school district to benefit those in the community and ultimately our taxpayers that would be potentially utilizing the facility. So one of the biggest challenges that we have is managing the joint operating agreement and how the field house is used. There's a lot of teams, there's a lot of patrons, there's a lot of people in the community, and everybody wants to use it. And the field house is interesting because everybody wants to use it right when school's out. But we realize the benefit to the school district to have that space. So our thought was to look outside the walls of the field house to see what we could do that would pull some of that pressure out of the field house, potentially make more courts available for the school district and our patrons during our busy time, as well as open up other opportunities that we might not have as far as programming youth sports, helping some of our nonprofit associations, and ultimately the school's athletic department, especially during spring and winter in Ohio. So we contacted Fanning and Howie, the architect of record for the school district, to get a feasibility study done back in 2024 in November. We came up with two options, one of which we ruled out because it was a little bit smaller than what we were looking for. So we're looking at an addition of about 7,200 square feet, clear span, so it would be 90 feet long by approximately 83 foot wide with storage room. On the drawing there, you can see the methods of ingress and egress would be, there's a sidewalk to the southwest of the building that would essentially go straight towards Ken Dukes Stadium and allow teams to access through the back door without ever interacting or coming into contact with rec center patrons. The ingress and egress for the rec center would be through the doorways, which are currently emergency exits. So the total for that addition came out at roughly $3.3 million, which we know is one of our largest hurdles. However, we've set ourselves up to apply for capital bill funding again, and we're hoping that we can illustrate that there's an educational component to this addition. Our current ask is for $1.5 million. If that is awarded, the rec center would be committed to at least $500,000, obviously with the blessing of our city council, and then we would be seeking third-party funding through local foundations or any other nonprofit groups, and potentially naming rights to hopefully see the project to fruition. So as Mr. Sable mentioned, we're looking for a resolution of support for the project with the understanding that the third-party funding would have to be there in order to complete it, and it would be pending the final architectural design and review by the school board, of course. And then we would also have to amend our lease agreement and joint operating agreement as we did with our last building addition. Just to point out, the rec center serves about 15,000 youth that are in our database under the age of 17 currently. And your athletic programs alone, I believe, are at 665 participants. So there's a really big benefit to the community, to the rec center patrons, and ultimately to the school district. And we couldn't think of a better way to utilize, although it be a small space, it's going to be designed for any type of softball, baseball, lacrosse, football, where you can do it and not have to worry about damaging the building or anything. So we're optimistic. It may not happen, but it's a plan. It's out there. We know it can be done. So we're going to do what we can to take the lead on it and hopefully be able to see the project to completion.
And as Jansen mentioned, this is up there clear as day, is fully funded through the city, through grant opportunities. I think one of the grants that they're looking at is the same grant or similar grant that they applied for and were awarded for expansion of the weight room. In terms of proceeding, this would be the same process as occurred with the weight room, where the resolution tonight basically gives the go-ahead to move forward in looking for funding. There would then be a later resolution if funding is achieved for the board to approve actually moving forward with the project. And I don't want to keep Jansen too long. I know he's running from here to a city meeting to, I think, do a similar presentation. Yeah.
I do have one question, if I may. Thanks again, Jansen. I echo Mr. Sable's comments about your collaboration, city's collaboration with the district. We do appreciate it. My question for you is do you have a plan for the surface, the ground surface of the field house? Is it going to be similar to what's already there? Will it be a different type of flooring surface?
Yeah, good question. It would be turf. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And tonight we are privileged to have Northrop presenting to us on the happenings over at Northrop. I love to see a nice group in the back. I'm assuming most of our visitors are are here with Northrop this evening. So I'd like to welcome Principal Doty and all of our Northrop people.
Well, good evening and thank you. We are really excited to be able to share a little bit about the deeper learning work that we are doing at Northrop this year. So I have my third grade team and some amazing third grade students with us this evening. The deeper learning work in the district has been many years in the making. I'm sure that you recall we started with developing the portrait of a bee, and that really was our guiding star or our roadmap for what we wanted to see our students be able to achieve beyond just academics. After that, we were really working to think, why is this kind of learning and why are these experiences important for our students? The world around us is different than it was 20 years ago, and so our educational landscape has to change to match that and prepare our students. So then as educators, we have worked over the past several years to really understand the strategies and the instructional shifts that we can make to provide these experiences with our students. Up to this point, we have been doing what you might call kind of a dessert. So dialing up the learning a little bit, trying to add in some of these strategies throughout, but really looking at building knowledge and then having some kind of a project at the end. This year, our district challenge is to level up even more to kind of what you might consider a main course experience. And so when you think about a main course experience, and this is our district goal for deeper learning for the year, all students will have the opportunity in every grade level or every class to experience something like this. So rather than just building the knowledge and doing a project at the end, you're really considering everything along the way, from getting students' interest with your launch project or your entry event, to helping students build the knowledge in authentic ways, to helping them develop some questions and thinking about inquiry and curiosity. And then at the end, you'll have a project where students can present to an audience and get some outside feedback. As you can imagine, this work takes time, and we have this happening at a lot of our grade levels. I'm really excited. We have a collaboration between first and fourth grade that will happen later this year, and of course, fifth grade with their work with the capstone. But one team that jumped in feet first was our third grade team. So they were inspired. They got to work right away. They thought about their standards, and they thought about giving this experience to students, which is happening right now. And happening this early in the year is truly amazing. So I'm going to turn it over to them so they can share a little bit about what this has looked like so far.
Okay, and it really was a collaboration, but all these pieces that were there, and then we realized we could put them together to create a deeper learning project. And of course, it started with our focuses on science, life science standards, and then we incorporated our CKLA reading, which gave so much background knowledge to help just do so much that we would not maybe have been able to do. And then their standard on informative writing. So the students are exploring life cycles of organisms and the relationship between the natural environment and the organism's physical and behavioral traits. Big science, but they really are understanding all this and they're able to use these words. And then those things that affect its ability to survive and reproduce. And our guiding questions, our central driving questions were, how can we prove that inherited traits are passed down to their offspring from a parent? And how can living organisms use their adaptations for survival? So it's been a very nice work in progress.
So after we took a look at the standards, we really wanted to look at the portrait of a bee because, as Mrs. Doty mentioned, it's not just the content, it's the competencies that we want these students to carry with them. So 2 goals that we would really like students to accomplish throughout this project is to be a clear communicator. So not only to communicate their learning to their peers, but to communicate what they have learned and the challenges that they have faced along the way. Another thing that we really want them to focus on is being a resilient, lifelong learner. So we had a big talk about what is resiliency, and that was challenging for a lot of kids because, one, they weren't sure what the word meant, but, what does it mean to be a lifelong learner when they're only 9 and 10 years old? So we focused on really hitting home that this is a student interest and student-driven project. They had voice and choice throughout the project, and really they had a couple challenges, but the goal for them was to move through those challenges independently, whether it was, you know, finding new resources to research on their project, or, you know, how am I going to present this, or how am I going to create this slideshow or poster? You'll see in a little bit that there's a few different options that they had. But they have really done a great job showcasing both standards and competencies. So with that, we created a rubric. And with the rubric, on the next, next. Okay.
Hi, my name is Max. I chose to learn about owls. They are my favorite animals, and even though I know a lot about them, I wanted to learn even more. I chose a slideshow so that I could improve my typing skills. I'm already a good communicator, but this project gives me a chance to present in front of other groups, which I've never done before. I'd like to share one topic from my slideshow. Owls, the silent hunters. Owls are great hunters. Read more to find out why. Owls have this special wing feature which helps them to move silently through the night to catch prey without the prey hearing them first. Owls have sharp talons to kill their prey while they're flying. Owls have amazing hearing. Did you know owls have the best hearing of any birds of prey? When owls need to travel far away to hunt in a different area, owls need to travel they sometimes make a new home, kind of like a mobile home. Owls' feathers sometimes blend in with their surroundings. For example, if they decide to hide in a tree and their feathers their feathers may camouflage into the tree to either attack prey or hide from a predator.
Great communication skills, Max. So this is the rubric that I mentioned. So not only does it showcase the content, so we have two areas on the rubric that we are looking for their essential questions. You know, were they able to identify adaptations for survival connecting to their animal, and were they able to prove that inherited traits were passed down to their offspring? Then we are also looking at the competencies. Were they a successful communicator, and were they a resilient lifelong learner? Were they able to persevere through the challenges throughout the project independently, or do they need a little bit more support with that? We gave this to the students early on so that they knew direct expectations throughout the project and they can reference this when needed. And at the bottom, we have a piece for them to reflect, because self-reflection is an important part of learning. So not only are we, you know, grading them or assessing them on these skills, they're assessing themselves and reflecting on what can I do better and what was I successful at.
Hi, my name is Raylan. I chose to learn about giraffes. I was curious about their long necks. I wanted to make a poster because I like writing and drawing better than using a computer. Having a rubric helped me to know what important things I needed on my poster. I'd like to share a part of my poster with you. This part is about safety and predators. Giraffes will make a loud noise if they think they will be threatened, and giraffes stay in groups in case they get attacked. And some things that will attack them are lions and crocodiles.
I'm Shelley Bonner. Just wanted to talk to you about the launch of learning. So OSU Extension was fantastic. They not only trained me free of charge by giving me a free incubator and all this fun stuff, but they gave us the eggs. And they came in and launched this learning project with all of our students in the library, bringing in the fresh eggs for us to place into the incubator, which actually just all hatched in the last 24 hours. So, and it's just been really fun. The kids, it got them excited, and then we used this project as an exemplar for their projects and upcoming work. We also took a field trip to Owen Schlager's Nature Center, which is another wonderful resource here in Medina. And it tied beautifully to all of our standards, talking about animal adaptations. The kids, obviously, it was a beautiful day. They got to get out and dig for things out of the pond, and it just created that wonderful, deeper learning adventure for them.
I'm Tiffany Boza. We wanted to make sure that our students had a voice in this, so we did voice and choice. Throughout the project, we modified some of the journal entries with the CKLA curriculum to match their animals of choice. So they got to choose an animal that they wanted to research and experience throughout this. And then they got another opportunity to, how things going with this one, now you can go ahead and choose another animal. We made sure that we had access for all students throughout the research. So we used Google Read Write to make sure that we can bring their text to their individual level as they were doing their research. So it's a really awesome feature where it will just be read to them. And it could be anything on a website. This gave lots of options for research for students. We also used Epic a lot. Epic is a wonderful online library of resources for students to be able to research anything, and there's lots of different fun books and research books and lots of things on there that they can have read to them if they need that adaption for them.
Hi, my name is Ava. I chose to learn about a snow fox. I'm interested in them, but I can't travel anywhere to see them because it's too cold and far away. I want to share what I learned in a poster because writing and drawing are strengths for me, and I'm not very good at typing yet. I'd like to share a part of my poster with you. This part is about dangers for snow fox. Weather events are dangerous for snow foxes. Lots of snow melting can lead to a very small ice island and a lost snow fox getting lost. Also, ice falling down from an iceberg is dangerous to snow fox. Hi, my name is Jillian. I chose to learn about catfish. I love to fish with my papa, and I was inspired to learn more about the fish that we catch sometimes. I wanted to share what I learned in a slideshow because I want to improve my typing skills. I got so much better at typing by doing this. I'd also like to share one topic from my slideshow, habitat. Catfish live in saltwater and freshwater. They are able to live in water because they are cold-blooded. Cold-blooded means the thing that is cold-blooded never stays the same temperature, and water is never the same temperature.
So as we are nearing the end of our project and students are getting to practice being communicators, one of the things that we are doing is pairing up with our kindergarten team at our building. They also study life cycles. So we thought it would be a great chance for students to practice their communication skills by communicating their project and presenting to kindergarten students. After presentations, kindergarten students are going to give feedback to the students that presented. Our third graders will read the feedback form to them to make it developmentally appropriate for the kindergarten students, and the kindergarten students will circle the smiley faces according to how they felt the presentation went.
So as you can see, we have engaged, inspired, curious, authentic learning happening here, and it's really exciting to see, and these kids are only 8 and 9 years old. So the collaboration that's happening among grade levels in the building, the thoughtfulness that teams are putting into these experiences for students is truly, truly inspiring and exemplary. Any questions for our third graders or third grade team?
Just a comment. My sons are either graduated college or in college, and all the way through their career, their college careers, they're doing presentations and projects and research. So starting very early is important. So teaching the fundamentals, and every year it builds on top of each other. So by the time they get to that point, they are experts and they do very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming tonight. I know it's a beautiful day outside, so I especially thank Max, Raylan, Ava, and Jillian for coming in today. I learned a lot about some of the animals that you researched, so I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us and working on your presentation skills. It was very, very nice. And to the staff and teachers, thank you so much. I think I'm the only board member here who is with the first strategic plan we did however many years ago, where one of our initiatives was deeper learning and project-based learning. And to see us come this far and to collaborate and incorporate our standards and the deeper learning, the portrait of a bee, the CKLA, is that the right acronym? Thank you. Reading, I mean, that is just, it's very exciting for me to see and just fills me with joy. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are those posters for us to see?
They were actually up there. I didn't know they were going to be presented.
Okay.
I thought it might be easier if we just had them embedded in the presentation, so.
This is.
So not only are they doing their projects, but also they're using dioramas to showcase to have that.
That's part of their celebration for the CKLA, and this was their.
So they're still working on them. We just kind of started this piece of it. Just started today, actually. This piece. They look pretty. But with all the research that they had throughout the way, I mean, it really made this piece successful.
Great job, you guys. Those look really awesome, and especially the first day. Wow. So thanks for sharing all that information. I had never heard about the Google Read Write, so that is very intriguing. I'm going to check that out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank our Northrop students and staff. I agree with Mrs. Parkhurst. I mean, we've really come a long way. It also shows the importance of our strategic plan and our strategic planning process, which I'm going to plug, we're currently undergoing to make sure we have a definite collaborative direction in continuing with this work. I especially appreciated the work of our little scientists tonight. Being a former high school biology teacher, it was nice to see the kind of research you were doing, the choice to do something within your interest area that was exciting to you, and then the application piece as well. So at this time, I'd like to invite Principal Doty back up, as well as Northrop teacher Sarah Drybabus. You gotta come front and center. We have to make sure we can get you on the camera.
Okay, is this good?
Yep. This evening, we felt, and by we, I mean our entire administrator team, to invite Sarah to this. Come on. to this, she's very humble, to this evening's board meeting in order to recognize her and the work that she's doing in the classroom. When you talk about our Portrait of a Bee and deeper learning initiatives, she really is a leader, a model teacher in her district with the work that she does with her students. And I've had the opportunity, and I want to say, I think almost every one of our board members has had the opportunity to be in Sarah's classroom because she really has an open, inviting environment that's filled with excitement for learning and advancing the education of our students in the school district. What really amazes me about Sarah is not just the work she's doing with our students, but the work that she's doing with our community as well. Because when you see the kinds of projects that our students are doing, they're working alongside and in collaboration with representatives of the community. I can remember a pilot, a doctor, a construction specialist, all in her classroom working directly with students. And they're not just providing the students with information, but they're solving problems. And I don't know if it's true, but I would bet that some of their ideas and projects have actually been considered or even used in the real world in order to help out the businesses. On top of that, Sarah is a loving person who really cares a lot about kids, really cares a lot about Northrop, Medina City Schools, and really helping to develop our next generation. She is the reason why we are so successful as a school district and a model educator within our schools. So we're here today to congratulate Sarah. Some of us did have an opportunity to go to an Ohio School Board's regional meeting where Sarah was recognized as a District Teacher of the Year. So I want to congratulate you, Sarah, and I think Amanda wanted to say a couple words as well.
I don't know if I can follow that up, Aaron. That was pretty much everything I was going to say. But everything that Mr. Sable said is true. And I think what's most remarkable is that it happens every single day. So when you've had the opportunity to come into our classroom, it's typically been for some kind of a cool project that they're doing. But that feeling in the classroom is just what Sarah brings every single day. She is passionate after a couple of decades of education and plus more. She still maintains her enthusiasm. She's constantly pushing herself to be that resilient lifelong learner that we're looking for. She builds relationships with students that are lasting. We still have students that come back. Even we had someone who is now an educator who came back to Sarah's classroom and has looked at her to be a mentor. She is a true asset to Medina City Schools, to the students and staff at Northrop Elementary, and we're all privileged and better educators to be able to work around her. So congratulations.
And at this time, our board president, Mr. West, would like to present you with a plaque honoring you as State Teacher of the Year for District 11, which is really a big deal. We're talking about statewide and not just here in Medina. So that really is quite an honor. And I hope you'll hang that in your classroom with pride so that when your students come in and your parents come in, they see the kind of quality that we offer here at Medina City Schools. Thank you. And I'm going to stay up here for my next presentation. So this evening, I wanted to provide a brief presentation to our Board of Education as well as our community on legislative updates. Originally, I was intending on doing an informal presentation and just giving a brief update of the bills that are currently being considered down in Columbus and how they impact us. However, last week, Mr. Chambers and I received a email from the commissioner's office and were informed that they are considering passing a resolution that would adjust our tax collection as well as impact the Homestead Act. So this evening, I'm going to talk a little bit about the legislation because what our commissioners are considering also impacts what happens here on the local level. I might need you to switch the slides. So what our commissioners are looking at, they're really trying to game plan in order to provide some tax relief. Nobody in this room will argue that something needs to be done with property taxes. The increased property values is something that needs to be addressed in the state of Ohio. And there really is a team of people working to try and address that problem to provide some relief. What they're looking at is piggybacking the homestead exemption. So the homestead exemption is something that already exists within legislation. House Bill 96, which was the budget bill that was recently passed before the summer, allows county commissions to piggyback and add additional relief to the Homestead Exemption Act. So that tax relief would go to senior citizens, veterans, and low-income residents that qualify for the homestead. So this is something that the state allows, but the state is not implementing. They're leaving it up to individual counties. The concern or challenge with the piggyback is that with the current homestead exemption, the state reimburses an amount to offset the tax dollar loss due to the homestead. So they pick up a share of that. With the piggyback, they don't pick up any of it. So the piggyback homestead exemption is completely on the backs of the taxing entities that collect taxes through property. So it's not just school districts, it's your municipalities, your police departments, your libraries, who this all can impact. Ultimately, our goal tonight is to understand all of this better, but in addition to that, they're looking for our feedback, the commissioners are. So Dave and I want to provide our commissioners with that feedback through a joint letter from him and I, and this evening to ensure that our board is on the same page as us. So we've had this conversation a lot over the course of the last year or two because we were recently on the ballot, and again, thank you to our community for approving our levy. But in Ohio, and in particular for our school district, public schools are very reliant on local tax dollars. We as a school district are even more reliant because we're identified as a wealthy school district by the state of Ohio. Currently, state funding from the state level funds less than 10% of our per pupil expenditures. So over 90% of the cost to educate each student in our school district is coming from local tax dollars. So a challenge too is that when we start looking at impacts on local tax dollars, which I mentioned in the previous slide, where the state won't provide any reimbursement if a piggyback goes through, we have to pay close attention to that because of the reliance on the local tax dollars, that it could be real impactful on our collections. So the big problem, Ohio school funding problem. And what we're going to be working really hard at over the course of the next several months, or likely the entire school year, is making sure that we're providing the facts to the community in regards to school funding, how it works, as we're talking about in addressing trying to address and collaborate with our legislators on the property tax challenge. Too often you hear it's stated out of Columbus that schools are spending too much money. And schools need to spend less money, stop asking for money, reduce their expenditures, and that'll fix the property tax problem in Ohio. So tonight I want to share with you some of the facts so that you can see that it is not a spending issue. It's a funding issue. And that might sound familiar to you because those are comments that I made last year when we were on the ballot. So in our entire union, United States, Ohio ranks 45th. So we're way at the bottom in terms of the amount of funding that the state provides to public education. And that's something that has drastically changed over the last 30 years. So in 1991, homeowners and farmers paid approximately 47% of school property taxes. Today, that's increased to nearly 70%. So the state has really shifted the costs of educating kids to local communities as opposed to funding that at the state level. Another thing that I commonly hear coming out of Columbus is, well, we annually give you more money. We're spending billions of dollars on public education in Ohio, which is true, and I think it's important to educate our youth and provide funding that provides them a top-notch education. But if you look at the numbers, yes, the state has provided increasing money over time, but it's been a very small amount of money. The numbers look big because the budget for over 600 districts across the state of Ohio, we alone have a $100 million budget to educate our students, so it takes a lot of money to educate kids. But the reality is, if you look at what the actual increases are, they've been less than 1% a year. So not even close to keeping up with any sort of inflation. Again, this puts more of a burden on local entities, property taxes, in order to make up that difference. So Ohio is out of balance, and it's becoming increasingly more and more out of balance. I mentioned earlier, 20 years ago, the state share was about 45% and the local share was 55%. So closer to a 50-50 split. Today, the state share is 33% and the local share is 67%. So over the last 20 to 30 years, the state has continued to pay less and less towards educating kids in Ohio. And local communities have taken on that burden. Again, I can't reiterate this enough, it's not a spending issue. I think we're well aware here of the reductions that we've made in Medina City schools over the last 3 years, tightening our belts, tightening our budget. It's really a funding issue at the state level and putting too much responsibility on local communities to fund the schools. So strong schools need balanced funding. We need more from the state. The system now weakens both schools and communities. So a little bit about House Bill 96. What House Bill 96 has done, the new budget bill, like I said earlier, is it allowed the piggyback of the homestead exemption. Key differences, which I had mentioned as well, is that unlike the original homestead program, the piggyback does not offer reimbursement from the state to offset any of the revenue. So if our county commissioners vote to enact the piggyback, there will be no offset funds coming from the state. They will take no further responsibility in offsetting those monies. An important piece to this is the commissioners want to move on this. Their timeline is the end of October in order to make a decision and pass this. And the reason why is they're in a rush to get this in place for next year. And that's their timeline to be able to do that. So I think the county commissioners have great intent. And again, I said at the beginning, we all know property taxes and property tax relief needs to be addressed. So a little bit about the commissioner's plan. It would provide about $5.5 million countywide tax relief. This relief is specifically targeted at inside millage growth. So what they're looking at is limiting or capping the amount of taxes that would be collected due to increased evaluations in order to keep that money in property owners' hands. Again, this applies to one group, those individuals that are eligible for the homestead, but they are individuals that greatly need that relief. In addition, they are looking at rolling back $3.5 million of their own inside millage for further relief. So what impact does this have on our school district if this goes through? Right now, we're projected to receive approximately $1.7 million more of increased funding due to property tax increases. The commissioner's plan would reduce that collection by $938,000. So what that would do for us is it would give us a projected net gain of $775,000. So at its surface, and I'm speaking my opinion, and I don't want to speak for Dave, but we've talked about this quite a bit. This is a great opportunity at the surface view in order for us to support the commissioners to provide tax relief through the homestead piggyback. It would cost us financially as a district in receiving additional funds, but we wouldn't be losing funds. Because the state provides no reimbursement, though, the lost revenue will eventually need to be replaced through new or larger levies. And increasing the burden on property owners not eligible for the homestead exemption. And I think that's an important piece. Because this is not tax relief for everybody, there's dollars that will no longer be received, which means districts will not have additional funds that will help them, prevent them from going on the ballot. When they do go on the ballot, they will need to put up more millage, and that tax burden is going to be spread amongst everybody else. Because if you take money from one place, it's got to come from somewhere else. So why inside millage matters for Medina. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty in detail of all of this because some of it gets complicated when you talk about the floor. But Medina City Schools, that says is at the floor. It should say is not at the floor. Medina City Schools is not at the floor. Because we are not at the floor, and we talked about this again during the levy campaign, we do not and have not received additional dollars with property values increasing. And that was something we really needed to inform people on during our last levy campaign, because it just seems to make sense that if my property taxes are going up, that money's got to be going somewhere. The schools must be getting something, and we don't. Some schools do, though. Schools that are at the floor do get additional funding as those values go up. So for us, the only way we can receive additional inflationary dollars is with inside millage, because all districts are eligible to get increased funds with the inside millage. And it is important to mention that inside millage is a very small part of the millage we actually collect on. So we're not talking about large amounts of money, but it is the only place that we can actually get some of those additional funds without going out for a levy that makes up for inflation. So the proposed homestead expansion would all but eliminate these inflationary gains. So The one opportunity we have to get some inflationary gains with the piggyback would be lost. And Dave is going to share the 5-year forecast, and he's going to show within the forecast how some of this would impact us. The other piece that concerns me that's not being considered with this decision is legislation that is currently introduced down in Columbus that would could impact this piggyback. And in particular, House Bill 335, which is pending in Columbus, would restrict or repeal inside millage for schools and local governments. So if House Bill 335 passes in Columbus and our commissioners pass the piggyback, then our $775,000 increase, which was 1.7, so that was decreased with the piggyback, would be a loss of almost $1 million a year for the school district. So it's important to me that our county commissioners, and I want to make sure Dave and I include this in our letter to them, are aware of what's happening in Columbus and how, at the surface, like I said at the beginning, the piggyback looks like it's a great opportunity. It could actually backfire and create quite a big loss for us in particular if this legislation goes through. So the big picture, just an overview, we're heavily reliant on local tax dollars. Relief is needed, but we need to keep in mind that this relief through the piggyback reduces school revenue. The other thing that it does is there's no accountability from the state in helping to decrease. So they're putting the full weight of decreasing property taxes, again, on the local entity. The state continues to put the burden back on the locals. Pending bills that had recovery systems in them don't apply to the piggyback. And then we've got the challenge, and this is the really difficult conversation that I have with people, the challenge of balancing and being compassionate for our residents and being aware of what's happening with property taxes in the economy and balancing that with our responsibility to kids. So what I recommend in moving forward with our county commissioners is we need to support the goal of tax relief, specifically with property taxes. We are working in Columbus to do that. I've been in Columbus 2 times this past month where we've been talking about legislation and developing advocacy and recommendations for our legislators where we can provide tax relief, but it needs to be done in a way where it's not just put on the backs of public schools or local communities. The state needs to take a share in that responsibility in reducing local property taxes. I recommend that we request that the county delay adoption, and I do recognize that could push back the timeline when potential relief would go into place. But I think it's important that we have the full information in regards to what's happening in Columbus with the legislation so that we know the full impact this could have on school districts and other entities that collect property taxes. And we just don't know right now. And then reiterating our commitment, and we talk about this every single month when we get together, but in being fiscally responsible and doing it in a way that allows us to preserve programs that we have in place. So we believe in balancing compassion for taxpayers with investment in our children. We ask for a funding system, both state and local, that's sustainable, predictable, and fair. And it's important to point out as well, you know, why are we in this situation as a state? And I talked about the comments about schools spend too much money. The reality and the reason for the major shift, the unbalance in Ohio, is the massive tax breaks that have been given to businesses and utilities. That's why it's so unbalanced right now. And the state collects less money because of those tax breaks that have been awarded. Again, I said the money's got to come from somewhere, so it's come from our property taxes to make up for those business and utility tax breaks. Any questions from the board?
Just a couple. One thing, some of the, I saw you've got some stats and stuff in there. Is there a way we can get, maybe you can edit this if we're going to post this and put like the sources where they came from? So if somebody wants to look at it, they can go, oh, well, that's where they got it from. I think that could be useful for some of our voters in our district. And maybe there's a website or an infographic on, because I'm even still confused what like inside millage in the floor is or something, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't have a clue. Maybe there's something there that's readily available that we can attach to this as well, just to help people.
Yep, definitely. And we're actually, BASA, the State Administrators and Superintendents Association, is working on putting together a toolkit. I anticipate we'll be using pieces of that toolkit through social media as well as on our webpage to help explain this information, because it is complicated and it is hard to understand.
I have a question.
Sure.
We received a message from the Career Center that they're obviously going to be hit, but the commissioners are going to make them whole. Any chance the commissioners will make us whole?
No, and I'm actually surprised to hear that the commissioners will make the Career Center whole, to be honest with you.
Well, they are, just so you know.
No, I do not anticipate that.
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's new
also-
news to me.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because the Career Center is funded a little bit differently than public schools because they are a career tech. They get a different reimbursement and funding mechanism. I think it's also important to note, Mr. Sable, that you mentioned the tax rates that have been given, but also the state is reducing the amount of income tax overall that they're collecting with with House Bill
Correct.
96 that passed as well. And you also know that how it's important for us to fund public education. That's part of our state constitution.
Mm-hmm.
The state has to fund public education. However, they keep pushing it down to the local levels, even though it's their responsibility.
Right.
And it's also important to note that, as you mentioned, this isn't just affecting public schools, it's going to affect all local municipalities, our parks, our libraries, cities, townships.
Correct.
So thank you for the presentation. I appreciate that you're going to make it available to the public. And thank you for your advocacy and your trips down to Columbus to advocate not just for our school district, but for public education. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, something a little less deep. We need to look at a date change for the November meeting. That's not something that needs to be voted on or anything like that, but I want to throw out a couple dates, see if there's any discussion. Reason why we need to change the date is because we will be down at the Ohio School Boards Association Conference on the day that our November meeting is scheduled. That happened because OSBA moved back the convention 1 week this year. It's for many, many years been the prior week. So the two dates that we were discussing were, it's not our non-traditional dates, but it's Thursday, November 13th or Thursday, November 20th. So the 13th would be before we go down to OSBA, and the 20th would be that same week of OSBA when we get back. I'm going to ask Lisa to send a communication out to the board so that you can provide feedback, unless you'd like to do that here and now if you know already that one definitely doesn't work. I think when Andrew and Amy and I met last week, we were leaning towards having the meeting before we go down to OSBA.
I have no preference.
Yeah, I don't really have a preference, although I know the 20th is Finance Committee, so I could spend all day with Dave.
You could, and Dave and I actually talked about that.
Yeah.
Jeannie, anything?
I would prefer the 13th.
Okay. Well, let's plan on the 13th then.
Yeah, I would like to do it before OSBA.
Let's see.
13th, Lisa.
The next thing we need to do, and this should be a quick one too, is Mrs. Parkhurst is not going to be joining us for the Capitol Conference this year because she is not running for re-election. And historically, we invite our newly elected board members to join us because there's lots of opportunities for them to learn as they're coming on the board. And she is the board's designee for legislation, and there's an annual legislative meeting from OSBA down during the conference. So we just need to assign, I don't think we need to vote a new person in, we'll do that in January, but assign somebody to attend that meeting in her place.
I volunteer.
Brave man.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Have fun.
Should I bring my body armor with me?
Yes.
Okay.
And next up, I'd like to invite Sarah Jackson. Sarah is our Assistant Director of Instruction. We just had a professional development day on Friday. I was able to participate and help lead professional development with our paraprofessionals. I know Dr. Qualick, Mr. Shields, I think we're on opposite ends of the cafeteria during the morning. I had really positive feedback. Several individuals came up to me to say what a good morning it was for them, but I wanted Sarah to expand upon that, what we did with our teachers and curriculum-wise.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sable. So on October 10th, we were able to host our first professional development day for all staff across the district, and it truly is a collaboration to be able to bring this day together. So with our team from Human Resources, Pupil Services, our staff within the Department of Instruction and Technology, we were able to offer almost 50 different sessions throughout the day for our staff to ensure they were able to be a part of conversations that were truly relevant to the role and meaningful to their positions, and to support the work that they do daily with students. So across the district, staff had a chance to work with grade level colleagues to really think about how to maximize the resources that we have within our current curriculum. Available to staff was a variety of different sessions focused on technology resources to support teaching and learning. The day afforded us an opportunity to revisit supports around deeper learning, which, as you heard earlier in our presentation from Northrop, is a commitment from our district to ensure every student is a part of those experiences this school year. And we had a chance to work with our bus drivers, paraprofessionals, food service staff as well. In the morning, the high school had an opportunity to bring their staff together to look at the course offerings that they have available to students, and to think about it from the lens of a career pathway and how these experiences are preparing students when they take their next steps after graduation. As Mr. Sable said, we received overwhelming positive feedback on the offerings that were available. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the teachers and staff that volunteered that day to share their expertise with their colleagues. It truly was remarkable to see everyone come together in that way. Any questions on our professional development day?
You can just stay right up there, Sarah. We had a district curriculum meeting, was that yesterday?
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. So Sarah's going to provide an update on the goings of that meeting.
So yesterday during our curriculum board meeting, our coaches from the Department of Instruction joined the conversation to share stories from the classroom to really highlight the implementation of our deeper learning efforts so far within the school year. And they were able to highlight 2 key strategies that they are seeing all the way from elementary to high school. How teachers are using essential questions. Again, Northrop was a great example of how those questions can really launch and spark the interest of students within the topics that they are focusing on within the classroom, as well as our community partnerships. How our collaborative efforts outside of the district have really provided students with an experience within the curriculum that helps them to see the meaning and relevance of what they're learning within real life application. We have a lot of excitement from students and staff that have been a part of this work, and we are excited to be able to scale it up as we continue throughout the school year. All right.
I just want to add something real quick. It was really exciting yesterday to see the projects that do span elementary, middle school, and high school. And tonight, it was exciting for me to hear that consistent language that is also being used across the district, regardless of grade level, building just that consistent language and seeing that deeper learning go from a dessert to a main course. So I can't wait. I'm excited that it's so early in the year to see these projects develop, and I can't wait for our portrait to practice. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I can't agree more. And again, preschool, all the way from preschool through high school.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see these experiences come together and how our students are truly empowered within the learning process. Yes. All right. Any additional questions? Thank you for the opportunity to share these updates.
Floor is yours, Mr. Chambers.
Well, the Finance Committee met in September 18th, and I was sad to inform the committee that Bob Thompson, who has been on our committee for a number of years, in speaking with his family, decided to take his talents down to northern Georgia. So he will no longer be on our Finance Committee meeting, but we really appreciated all his input that he gave us throughout the years, and it was very enjoyable to have him on the committee. The committee, at the committee, we spoke about the annual appropriations that the board passed 2 days before. We also spoke about legislative updates. I believe that we spoke about the legislation going ahead and overriding the governor's first veto there and having it sit there for the Senate for revision, which later the Senate overrode as well. We also spoke about a property tax analysis that was done by Howard Fleeter, and I gave that to all of the Finance Committee itself, basically talking about some of the stuff that Aaron was talking about, how the state has defunded school districts over the last 30 years and put all the onus on property taxpayers, and also legislation that has moved the taxes from your businesses and public utilities to your residential and agricultural taxpayers. So, questions on the Finance Committee? Okay, let's get into some good stuff here. Let's get into our September financials. Making sure this is turned on for me. Okay, if you ever notice, what I'm trying to do with our financials is point out the school district that is talking with us through that board meeting itself. So Northrop is on here. Last financials, it was Blake, if you'd noticed that. So. Okay, let's get into it. Our beginning balance, $41 million, doesn't change because our beginning balance is always our beginning balance of July 1st. Our revenues that we've earned since July 1st, $42 million. Our expenditures, $24 million. Our ending balance as of September 30th was $55.2 million. This is a decrease of $1.8 million, and it's due to the revenue cycle. So. Next, we have our revenues, again, $42 million. This is 49% of our current forecasted numbers that we're looking at. Real property, it's at $30.7 million. This is 17% year over year. And last year at this time, we did not collect anything for the levy that was passed in the month of November. From January on, we are a little over that with our 30 million. State Foundation, we're at $4.6 million. This is 2.1% above last year at this time. This will change. And again, as Aaron said, our foundation is made up of base foundation monies and then additional monies. Aaron was speaking about the base foundation, in which the state only gives us, I believe it's less than 10%. It's about 9 point some percent. The additional monies are for such things as catastrophic costs, special education, transportation guarantee, and base cost guarantee itself. Our expenditures, our total expenditures, $24.6 million. This is 25% of our anticipated expenditures. So you could see since we're a quarter of the way into the year, we're about a quarter of the way in with our expenditures as well. Personal services, $14.5 million, 3.6% above last year at this time. Last year, or going July and August of this year, we were still facing the 27 pays that was going on in 23-24. Our benefits are up 14.3% at $6 million. If you recall, when we came into July, the medical benefits for the district had jumped 18%. So we're right where we're looking, or right where we anticipated with it. Our other expenditures, $4 million. This is up from the previous year, and this increase occurred in all of our categories except for supplies. Our investments for the month. We actually had a very good month of investments, a total of $681,000 since July. This is up compared to last September by $99,000. We had over 200 and I believe it was $260,000 that we had returned to us here in September. And if you go to our investments, I said this in July with our June investments that we totaled $2.2 million. That offsets every penny that a taxpayer puts in to the district. So $2.2 million, we're not asking again for $2.2 million from the taxpayer. We're using that to stretch the levy cycle itself. Our forecasted funds, we are in the blue. If you look at this for September, we're above both 25 and 24. We are below 2023 at this point. But again, the cycle of the year is we drop down through December, January, and then we get our monies from property taxes at the end of January, very little, but February is when we get most of our property tax monies. And then I want to remind taxpayers, because you as board members have seen this, when we are talking about that the district does not receive any additional funds from our voted levies, this is the reason for it. If you look at the left-hand chart, you'll see that we had 30.1 mills voted in before 76, or 76 and before, I should say. Currently, we are collecting 3.13 mills of that. And that's because House Bill 920 that was placed in effect in 1976 reduces any millage back down to how much the millage generated at the point it was voted in. Now, if we have decreases, that also affects that millage. And when I say decreases, I'm talking about when you're giving out community reinvestment abatements or exemptions or whatnot. Community reinvestment abatements, TIF abatements, those things decrease the property tax, and when they are decreased, we will never go above that decreased amount. So when the state puts out a decrease, when the county puts out a decrease, that decrease affects us for the rest of the lifetime of the voted millage itself. So, and again, for 2018, that was the substitute levy. You could see both 2018 and 2024. Those levies are reduced at the county. Those aren't reduced by the state. The rest of these levies are reduced by the state. Those levies are reduced at the county. So the 5.2 mil substitute levy is now being reduced at the county down to 3.8 mils. The newest levy, our 7.5 mil levy, that came in November of 24. There was no reduction at that point because you are now paying, well, in January and in July, you were paying 24 tax years, so there would be no reduction. But as valuations increase, next year you'll see that drop by, if the county was correct back in July or August when we spoke to them, 30%. If we look at what the county gave to us here just this past week, 21% for the school district. So you'll see the 7.5 mils drop by roughly 21% down to whatever that will be. So does that make sense to? And then finally, our website, we have all our information there. We will update it with anything that we put in for today as well. Questions on that?
Yeah, just quick one on where you said on our state foundation that we've received so far. Yeah, right there, the state foundation. So we're 4.7 million. So that's 2.1% over last year.
Correct.
But inflation's higher than that, so it's really kind of a loss. Is that a way to look at it?
You could look at it that way. I'm always looking at it the positive way that it's 2% more than last year.
Yeah, well, we all know what inflation rate is, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and for the year, that may not turn out to be
Correct.
that much. That's just a comparison to this time last year.
Correct.
Okay. Just to go back to the slide where you were talking about the levy, I think it was the second to last slide, the levy years. Just for the community, that kind of supports what Mr. Sable was talking about earlier about how we don't collect more as inflation and property
That is correct.
values increase.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Craig, you want to get me out of here and any other? Now, the state has changed the forecasting of all school districts. They've changed it a few times here. It used to be where school districts had to present a forecast in October and a forecast in May. Then they changed it to November and May to give more actual costs into the forecast so the forecast could be more accurate. And then here with House Bill 96, they changed it again. Now they pushed it back to October for this year, but only this year. And they're moving it, October and May this year, and it's going to be going to August and February next year. So just for your input.
Also, Mr. Chambers, did you say we're the only state public institution that has to do a forecast?
That has to submit a forecast to the state,
Correct.
yes.
And even though the private and charter schools also now receive state funding, they do not have to do a forecast?
Private and charter schools do not have to submit anything to the state.
Okay, thank you.
So, yes. Okay, I want to talk about where our revenues and expenditures are. We are anticipating let's go back one. We are anticipating $116 million in total revenue. That includes property tax, that includes tuition, that includes investment income, and that we're looking at $111 million in expenditures, and this is for the current fiscal year. So you're looking at a gain of $4.9 million. And I spoke about this when we were talking about the forecast last year, and I spoke about it when we were talking about the levies itself, is we only collected on half the levy here by June. So when we're talking about this year, we're collecting on the full $14.4 million this year. Hence the reason you see the increase. With our revenues, you'll see that 73 million is in property taxes itself. Real property taxes, it includes your residential agricultural, your commercial industrial. And then you have your public utility property taxes. Public utility valuations are set at the state level. The local level does not know about it. Here, the county does not know about it until they're given the valuations by the state. Our projected state funding, $18 million, that is flatlined, basically, because we are at what is known as the guarantee. That guarantees we're still receiving monies approximately the same as what we were receiving back in 2021. Our restricted state funding, if you look at the forecast itself, it appears that our restricted state funding is decreasing. What happened was the restricted state funding included your health and wellness funds from the governor. Those monies have been moved into the base funding itself, and since we're flatlined, it meant we didn't get any additional monies. We lost monies from the state. And then your state share of local taxes, that includes your homestead and rollback monies. The homestead monies was what Aaron was talking about earlier, but we also receive a tax credit for your 10% and 2.5% rollback that the property taxpayer sees. And then finally, all other revenues, that includes your investment income, your tuition, and any other monies that we receive from the state. Okay, we get to your projected expenditures. Our personnel and salaries account for $80 million. We've always said that what we produce are students that could be lifelong learners. We don't produce a product other than that. So most of our expenditures are on salary and benefits. We have purchase services at $10 million. These are services that you see service agreements all the time on our agenda. These are services that the district does not provide itself, but we reach out to other entities to provide. And then our all other expenditures are $20 million. This includes supplies, capital, debt, and then also advances, transfers, and other uses. You see the transfers. I don't believe it was listed in the slide with the revenues, but it's listed in the slide with the expenditures here. At $15 million, $14.4 million is going to be transferred from the emergency fund into the general fund. They're both part of the 5-year forecast, but we have to show that movement of monies going out of the one fund to the other. And what you're looking at here is our revenues versus expenditures. You could see for 2025, 2026, we're looking at revenues exceeding expenditures. 2027, they're almost the same. And if you remember 2027 on our next slide, 2 slides later, you'll see that they're both at about the same amount there. 2028 is when you'll see where our expenditures exceed our revenues. And again, you're looking at, because of House Bill 920 and no additional property tax revenues on voted levies, and we're looking at, in our forecast, we're looking at the reduction from the county commissioners. So you'll see that we're flatline basically on the inside millage as well. So that's why you're seeing the expenditures exceed the revenues here in 2028. And then with our balances, you'll see that we're down to roughly $19 million by the fiscal year 30. The annual change, the historical annual change is greatly influenced by the $10 million that we moved last year. We moved that from the emergency levy, and even though it's moved from the emergency levy into the general fund, it's shown on both sides of these charts here. So $10 million greatly influenced historical value of our revenue. We're clearly flatlined because we only have 1.8% change throughout the rest of the forecast. On the annual expenses, $10 million greatly influenced the historical expense on our transfer on our expenses. And then you see an increase because we're going from the $10 million up to the $14.4 million. So that's why you're seeing the increase. Otherwise, it's flatlined. Here's our forecast in days cash. You see this on a monthly basis from me. This is on the yearly basis for the forecast. You can see in 2022, we were at 215 days. We were coming down from the monies with the substitute levy itself. 160 days in 23, 134 days in 24. In 24, we passed the levy up to 151 days last year. We're looking at the same 151 days and then dropping down to 143. At the end of it, 54 days. And then I wanted to show you this. This is the last slide here. Residential property owners are paying 46% of our overall pupil support. Now, on the other side, it's showing 54%. That's including your commercial and industrial. That's also including your other portion, which includes that $14.4 million we're transferring throughout the forecast. And then your state and federal funds itself that go towards student expenditures. So of the $113, $52 for every student is coming from our local taxpayers. Any questions?
So, Mr. Chambers, we had cuts that we made prior to the levy, or we promised that we would make reductions when we put out that levy. So those are reflected in the forecast, correct?
Those cuts are still in the forecast, yes.
Okay, thank you. So even with those cuts, we're still seeing our expenditures go up due to inflation.
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anyone else? No? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we are at board communications. Who wants to go first? Jeannie, you're up.
Congratulations to the October Students of the Month, Avery Henry and Paul Tomaszewski. Also, we had two National Merit semifinalists, Evan Brown and Alexa Prifty. So congratulations to them. Mason Cooper, Hudson Karras, Paul Tomaszewski, and Lewis Strong were commended scholars. And also congratulations to the girls cross country team for winning the GCC championship. I've been able to watch a couple girls soccer games. Last one was on this past Saturday when they beat Jackson 1-0. And then boys soccer, I got to watch them play Jackson with a tie. JV football was down against Strongsville, and they came back to win. Got to see JV volleyball beat Vermillion. And then Mrs. Smoyer and I attended the Clash of the Middle Schools, Root versus Claggett at the high school gym. Claggett 7th grade 1 and 2, and the Claggett 8th grade 1 and 3. And they had some really great players, so I think that bodes well for the varsity team down the road. And then last Wednesday, we also attended the orchestra concert, and it was really amazing that the 7th graders had just really started, and they did a really nice job. I'd like to thank Mrs. Busby, Mrs. Kaliakovo, Vicky Kenya and her alumni committee and student council for a fun weekend at homecoming. And if you're still watching this board meeting and you're not at the boys soccer game at Memorial Stadium for the championship game against Strongsville, you should go right now. And also tonight is a choir concert. Tomorrow at 7, the girls soccer team takes on Strongsville at Strongsville also for the GCC championship. So I hope you can all turn out for that. And we lost 2 former teachers, Sally Ottebacher, who was a longtime teacher at Fenn, and Lonnie Savick, who was a business teacher at the high school. Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Joe, you're up.
I guess I got pointed at, as usual, everything Gene said. At the couple days before the last board meeting, I had a small procedure that was scheduled, so I didn't actually get out too much. The one thing that I did get to do was I got to hang out and camp on Fenn's lawn. The little guy liked it. I chased him around most of the night, making sure he didn't karate kick any tents down. I did see a few of those happen. Luckily, it wasn't him. Yeah, besides that, it's been a quiet month for me.
Which one of you two? Okay, Amy's next.
We're going to leave Becky to the last so she can come back. All right. I attended the marching band competition at Revere Local Schools, and that was pretty awesome. We won several awards for that. I was not able to go to, wasn't Hudson, it was Hoover, another H. At Hoover, they won every single competition, so that was wonderful. They didn't perform until 9:30 at night, so I was very impressed with that. And they will be doing another thing at Brunswick competition this Saturday, and then they will be going to states very soon. Otherwise, we will be hosting, for the marching band, we will be hosting the OMEA marching band competition that we will not be performing in, but we will be hosting, and that is the band's biggest fundraiser on November 1st. So if you see a ton of marching bands and hear them, I'm sure you will hear them on November 1st. That's why. Otherwise, went to the Ace with Grace volleyball game. That was very awesome, up against Brunswick. If I'm not mistaken, I only was able to stay for the for the freshman portion of it. But I will tell you that the Medina team looked much better than Brunswick. Just saying. Also went to the strategic planning meeting at the high school. That was very intriguing. We had a lot of conversation about different things that are going on, what we would like to see. We also, we were trying to, I think Ms. Pritchard was there as well, just getting our voices out there, and I'm sure we're going to put it out there as well that it is online. You can do the strategic plan, help us out with that online, and I believe that was sent out today, right? No, yesterday. So that was sent out by email, and then I believe there's some information out in the newspaper as well. Claggett and Root volleyball game, that was awesome as well. Checking out all of the teams that are going to be coming up to the high school. I definitely was watching the high school volleyball coach during that whole thing, and he was just keeping an eye on every single child that was playing. Loved it. Orchestra concert, kudos to them. They are wonderful, and I'm just astounded by our orchestra program. It's just amazing. Not many schools around us have an orchestra program. Homecoming parade, that was awesome. If you saw me, I was driving one of the girls and guys in the parade. So that was always a pleasure. And I'll tell you what, it's hard to drive and wave at everybody at the same time. Thankfully, no kids were coming out into the street. Love that. I kept watching in my rearview mirror and watching the football team overtake the last car, and was thankful that I was not the last car there, because they weren't slowing down at all. But it was great. So much fun. So wonderful seeing everybody out there and supporting all of our kids. And then also went to the homecoming game as well. So that was nice to see all the kids, and all got to see a lot of the kids that I know personally that graduated last year, they all were back to see their home team and their home school, so it was nice to hang out.
So Mr. Chambers and Mr. Sable kind of stole my thunder with the legislative update as being the legislative liaison, but you guys did a phenomenal job, better than I would have done. There was a video seminar about the school funding that OSBA put out that is available on OSBA's YouTube if anyone is interested and has some free time and they want to check that out. I did want to mention, I've had a couple of community members ask me or talk to me about our operating levy. And I just want to make sure everyone knows that the operating levy that we passed is used for operations. So I had a community member that was mentioning the weeds that maybe didn't get trimmed around a school building, and said that they know we have the money because we passed the levy. That is not what that money is to be used for. It is for programming, to keep our programming, to pay our educators. It's for use in the classroom. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that that levy was for operations. We do have our sales tax money, which is about $4 million, I believe we collect roughly each year. That is for capital improvements. The majority of that money goes towards our roofing projects, maintaining those, and our paving projects. So we do have a facilities committee. If anyone has questions about that they can talk to Mr. Sable, Mr. Chambers, Mr. O'Call, any of our, Mr. West, our board president. Are you on finance? Facilities, I'm sorry, facilities, Mrs. Smoyer, any board member really, if they have questions about that. We do have a large footprint that we maintain. And I think sometimes it's like a homeowner when you're really focused on your big projects, maybe some of those smaller projects it's hard to see. They talk about when you're ready to sell your home, take a step back and see what maybe other people will see. So if I encourage community members, if they do see something that that got missed, reach out to us and let us know, because we may not be aware. For example, I had a neighbor that mentioned there was a flag in one of the buildings that needed to be replaced, and we took care of it. So sometimes we miss those things. So we appreciate people letting us know so we can take care of it. It is our buildings are the community's buildings, and it's the responsibility of all of us to help take care of those buildings. If you see trash, pick up the trash while you're out there and throw it away. Several times made people complain about the trash that they see. It takes 2 seconds, just pick it up and toss it. So if we could have a group effort, maybe helping out, I think it would go a long way, and pay it forward, like Mrs. Moyer said. I'm going to task maybe our potential new board members. I see tonight, I thank our administrators for sticking with us. We've got 2 that are running for board candidates here tonight. Other than that, there's no community members here, I don't think, even with the change that we switched back our meeting till 6 o'clock. So maybe in January, we can move it back to 5:30 or so, just something to consider, because we're not getting a lot of community members coming. So just something to think about. And then lastly, I just want to reiterate what Mrs. Moyer said. Our strategic planning survey is out. We encourage everybody to please fill that out. We want to hear your feedback. It's on the website. If you have any trouble finding it, you can email Mrs. Busby. You can contact any one of us that's here up here, and we will make sure that we will get that to you. The only way we will know or be able to know what you're thinking or what you want to say to hear your voice is to fill that out. So thank you so much.
I can say that I had a coworker who has a new kindergartner down at County Van, and he did fill out the strategic survey and filled it in. He was asking me, I don't know what it was, but I filled it out. I said, good. So I get those questions a lot.
On that note, a good note, we sent it out, and like within 10 minutes, we got information back from the impact group that 86 or 90 people had already filled it out in that short time. So that's a good sign.
I know one of them. He talked to me today about it. Not a lot. I will say, this isn't directly related, but Medina was represented quite well this past weekend at the OSU Illinois football game. I took 3 of our former graduates who are down at OSU along with myself and my wife, who is a graduate, and we went to the game. And they are somewhere on the big noon kickoff video somewhere. They are in there if you want to look for them, at least on a frame or two. But we had a good time. But those three are all engineering students, and what goes to our deeper learning, these three OSU engineering students are absolutely slaying it. They are taking graduate level classes, they are working hard, and they are getting it. So the education that we provide here as a kickoff point for adulthood is working, and we want to keep that. I'm not going to go into all the various financial things, but I will, I've touched on this once before. I just want our public to think about this. The state, this past year, I think, is spending about $1 billion on private school vouchers, give or take. I'm just going to use $1 billion. We have in the state of Ohio 1.8 million public school students. If you do the math, that's about $556 per student for public schools. We have about 180,000 private school or charter school students. That's $5,556. So they're giving $5,556 on average to private and charter school students as a voucher. Now, that money is going into entities that have no oversight whatsoever. So when the money goes in, it disappears. They can spend it on whatever they want. If you took that $1 billion and divided it equally amongst all the public school students, it would be about $556 a student. That would have probably just about taken care of the levy that we asked for and that our voters passed. I just want our public to think about that and at the very least demand that they be held to the same financial standards that we are, that they are publicly audited, their finances and their records for those public tax dollars are visible so we as our taxpayers can see that. Okay, so I'm off my high horse, but that's basically about all I have. Lisa, is there any public comment? No public comment, so we'll waive that portion. Mr. Chambers, your action items G, please.
Yes, if it pleases the board, it is recommended, item number 1, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the September 2025 Treasurer's Financial Report. Item number 2, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the following supplemental to the 25-26 permanent appropriations. We have monies going, closing out the Canavan school store, monies closing out the World Watchers Club at Canavan, monies for our Flex program, which is an employee benefits program in which they have monies moved out of their accounts or out of their pay into the Flex Pro account. And then, so we're funding the expenditure on that. And then we have Sparkle Cheerleading, which is for our cheerleading club at the high school, I believe, or cheerleading club in conjunction with the high school. Item number 3, it is recommended that Board of Education approve the following fund-to-fund transfers. Again, we're transferring monies out to close out the Canavan school store. The monies are going into the principal account at Canavan. The Flex Pro, these are monies that remained in the program after they were closed out for 22-23 and 23-24. And moving those into the general fund, and we'll use those monies to pay for the program. And then the World Watchers Club monies are moving out of there into the principal's fund to close that out. And then finally, item number 4, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the October 25, it says 5-year forecast. I cannot say it's a 5-year forecast. It is only a forecast. And notes to comply with the State of Ohio Department of Education and Workforce's requirement.
I will entertain a motion for Treasurer's action items G1, the Treasurer's financial report, G2, the supplemental to permanent appropriations, G3, the fund-to-fund transfers, and G4, the October 25 forecast.
I'll make a motion to approve action items G1 through 4.
I'll
There's-
second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on that from anybody over here? No? Mr. Chambers, when you are ready.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst,
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer,
Hi.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Sable, your action items, if you please.
Number one is donations. It's recommended that the Board of Education accept the following donations to Medina City Schools. I'd like to point out the $5,000 donation to Sydney Fenn for furniture. That definitely helps offset our expenses when we talked about sales tax earlier, so we can use those funds elsewhere. Also, the $1,100 donation to Claggett Middle School. I do appreciate the support we get in donations at both Claggett as well as Root to ensure that all of our students have the opportunity to experience the Washington, D.C. field trip. Number two is service agreements. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following service agreement. This is with East Cleveland City School District for the placement and services for 2 students residing at the Carrington Youth Academy. Personnel, number 3, is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel items pending completion of all required documentation to our Director of Human Resources, Mr. Shields. A few things I do want to point out on here. The first is I want to congratulate Brittany. Brittany is going to be serving as our Root principal for the remainder of the school year, and that is reflected on this agenda to adjust her pay to that of a head middle school principal. Brittany has served as an associate principal at our high school for several years now, and I'm excited for her energy and curricular knowledge going into Root and taking the baton from Miss Cindy Grice. And I would also like to congratulate Mrs. Grice. She officially started at the Career Center, I believe, this Monday. But she has resigned for a career opportunity, an advancement to lead the Adult and Career Education Center over at the Career Center. So she's dedicated her entire career as a teacher and administrator here to Medina City Schools. So I wish her the best in her next venture. And the last recognition I'd like to have on here is Julie Crew. Julie Crew is leaving Mr. O'Cole. She served as his assistant for the last many years and has done an outstanding job. And she is stepping into the world of administration and will be working with the HR department in helping to work with our classified staff. I think she gets to work with health insurance. But I know she's going to do great in her capacity. I am gonna, and I told her this, I'm gonna miss her sitting out in the hallway there. If you don't know Julie, she is like one of the happiest people that I have ever met in my life. And if I'm having a bad day, I've got 2 things I do. I go to classrooms or I go walk down the hall past Julie. So I'll have to knock on a door now, but she'll still be around.
Do I have a motion to accept superintendent action items H1 through 3?
I'll make a motion to accept those items.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments from anybody? I will add, I talked to Mr. Sable about this earlier, and I'm sure it's going to be on the next board meeting, but I did want to mention it that my employer, Plastipack, had donated 60 cases of bottled water for the cross-country festival. That was like 2,100 bottles, and I think Mr. Dudak told me they used everything but like a half of a case on that day because it was so hot. And I want to thank Jeff and Susie Milam loaned a large trailer for them for the day to put the timing system in. So it wasn't really a monetary donation, but they did donate their trailer for a couple days. So I just wanted to thank them for that. Anything from anybody else? Mr. Chambers, when you're ready.
Ms. Moyer,
Aye.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst,
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Sable, your action items, aye.
This is the field house expansion resolution. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution supporting the potential expansion of the Medina Community Recreation Center field house in order to authorize the exploration of project and grant opportunities.
I'll make a motion to approve this
I'll
action
second.
item.
There's a motion or a second. Any questions or comments from anybody? Nope. Mr. Chambers?
Ms. Parkhurst,
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Ms. Moyer,
Aye.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Sable, action item J.
Tonight's last item, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached administrator performance-based increase schedule and formally adopt it as a pilot for the 25-26 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from anybody? No? I just would like to say something brief. Myself and the Medina Board of Education deeply respect and value all of our administrators. This pilot is intended to award them for their dedication and their hard work for the district. Anything from anybody? Mr. Chambers?
Ms. Parkhurst,
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Ms. Moyer,
Aye.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that is everything. So this meeting will be adjourned.
I'll make a motion
Oh,
to
moved it.
adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
I'm there.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're done. Thank you.